Welcome back to the channel. I am Lesly Damai. Today's video will be part of a new investigative branch to the channel. We will be shedding light to subjects that are often left in the dark. Things that are directly and intentionally affecting the human species and your consciousness. Let's get started. So there are a couple parts to today's video. It's more of an expose, and you have to watch until the end because it only continues to get more disgusting, demonic, and in fact, cannibalistic. So we'll start with the first lead shared to me on the School of Mysticism by Steve, one of our tribe members there. And he shared a post about the documentary BioSludge. So what's BioSludge? When you're flushing the toilet, when you're going and doing your business, when everyone in your neighborhood, everyone in your household, everyone in the city, anywhere there's a toilet, it gets channeled through the sewage systems and they go into different sewage plants. Now, these sewage plants do have filters. However, these filters are not designed to remove 80,000 of the chemicals that are found in it. Why? How could there be so many chemicals if there are only toilets flushing going into the sewage system? Well, see, that's simply not the case. The EPA, which I want to share with you guys here, the EPA is the Environmental Protective Agency, and they're a branch of the US government. I'm going to share the screen with you guys. So BioSludge. All right, let's start over here. I'm going to show you the EPA because these are the guys that are allowing this to happen. In fact, what they're doing is so disgusting because I come on here and the first thing I see are pictures of children everywhere. All right. There's pictures of kids everywhere. And you all know how these organizations, politicians, senators love to throw in the kid card. You know, they think throwing this in is going to make them seem more humane. It's going to make them seem more relatable, more compassionate. But you have to understand these are all industries, corporations, and all they care about is maintaining their ecosystem. And that's maintained through the collection of money. The United States Environmental Protection Agency. Let's go down here. So it started when Nixon came into presidency. And from what I've researched, initially, they were actually really taking care of the duties they were assigned to. And the EPA right now does have laws and regulations for things like the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, okay? Well, we all know how the air is and we all know how the water is. So they're not doing a good job, obviously, right? I mean, they're literally known as the Environmental Protection Agency. Look what they're doing to the skies. Look what they have done to the water. They are failing, yet they still remain. Yet they are still appointed this duty. You see how there are never repercussions for these agencies? Yet if you don't pay for a parking ticket, you can go to jail eventually. So what's happening is once these sewage systems, I'll get into this in just a bit. Let's just stop this now. So what's happening is once these sewage systems, they get divided into two slots. So whatever's pooped out, flushed down the toilet, guess what else is being added in there? Thanks to the EPA. The EPA has designated regulations for all industries to dump all of their biochemical waste into the sewage. Okay? All industries in the United States, there is only one regulating what they do with the waste content. All right? EPA is requiring all of these industries to dispose of their chemical waste into the sewage. So when the sewage is dumped out, it gets sorted into two last little areas. One where it's all liquid, which we will get into that also, and one where it becomes biosolid. Now you have to understand that the water treatments, they're not designed to filter out all that they're putting into it. So what we have is over 80,000 chemicals floating around in these sewage systems, in these sewer plants. And what do they do with that? Okay, what's happening to all of that? Well, what's happening is that with the area of the sewage plant that accumulates all of the biosolids, they're using that to make fertilizer. So what do they do with the fertilizer? They go directly to farmers, and they go directly to Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever, wherever you buy your soil, it's being sold there as well. So what's happening essentially is that they're trying to take a shortcut, and instead of disposing this in a different way, which there are so many other ways you can do this, and there are other countries that are disposing of this properly, what they're doing is they're feeding you all of that. Now, the number one thing that they find always with these 80,000, the key marker they're finding in it is Benadryl. Benadryl. So they're literally dumbing down humanity. They're finding fentanyl, recreational drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. Of course, they're finding pathogens. They've started to find the same pathogens that they were trying to protect people from with the you-know-what in the water systems. And what's also happening is that the sewage system is not protected really. So anyone can really just go and dump whatever they want there, which they do. And a lot of times there'll be leaks, and the biosludge will end up in low-income neighborhoods. People will go swimming and get sick because they don't know that the water's contaminated. So there's a huge issue going on. But what's happened is that they're turning it into an industry. So I want to show you a few little video clips from the documentary. Gotta tell you, this is just the first part of the story. This is going to go a lot deeper and more disgusting.
Is time. The y-axis is counts for that specific chemical mass. And if you look at our list over here, we see that we have 3,504 potential chemicals in the milorganite sample. Right here is warfarin, blood thinner that can be deadly. One of the side effects is death. And that's just one chemical out of, thousands. Here's atrazine, right here, atrazine-D5. Atrazine is a toxic herbicide that causes chemical castration and gender bender changes in both humans and amphibians. And here it is. We're seeing it identified as a likely candidate in this BioSludge sample. You are being exposed to thousands of different chemicals, and yet they call it organic and they call it eco-friendly. That's milorganite. Even the name is misleading. So let's take a look at dillo dirt.
All right, so as you can see, this is regular dirt you can buy on any store. And the other one that they review in Austin, Texas, which Austin is known to be very, very green. They had, I think, over 1,000 chemicals in theirs, and all of them have metals, pathogens, drugs in them. So I want to warn you guys, because many people are going to say, oh, well, I eat organic, and I actually have my own garden, and I eat all my vegetables from my own garden. Well, be careful, because these are being labeled as nutrient-rich organic. How are we to know the difference? And the thing is, you guys don't even want to see what they find in here. There's nanotech all up in there. And with nanotech, you don't have to disclose that information with the nanoparticles, because it's such a new type of weapon and technology that they don't have laws regulating it either. So basically, they just allow whatever company is adding this to their foods and to their products. They allow them to do so freely under the consent that they believe that it's not too harmful, right? And so all of this is just a new form of technology, and you will see what I mean. Okay, so let's take a look at what exactly they found in just a tiny pellet of this dirt, just a tiny pellet.
Features of mysterious fibers
That's nanotech.
that don't necessarily look like plant fibers. Many of them start to look synthetic as you really zoom in on it. And you can start to see that there are some very odd looking elements in this picture. What is this? What is this growth or structure there? What is this fiber? What are these chunks? And you can actually start to maneuver around the scene using this microscope setup. We're looking at essentially a dehydrated, pelletized form of human sewage. And it should be no surprise that it's full of all kinds of questionable and disgusting things. And throughout this landscape, you see mysterious fibers. Now we're starting to see more details about this structure. What is this yellow object that's lodged here inside the turd boulder?
That's fucking
What does this
nasty.
look like? Microplastics. This is a kind of pollution, a kind of contamination that's in the oceans. And it appears to be here in the biosludge as well, connected to these other fibers. It's clearly a polymer or resembles one. And we have all these other fibers. And
You guys, this is all nanotech, nanoparticles, nanoplastics, okay? And I actually was going to leave this whole section out of the video, but let's get into one more area, and this is what I mean by cannibalistic, because there's a new practice that's been going on for a couple years. I think it started in 2021. I will confirm that. So they have now legalized in many states a new form of, let's get this turd out of here. A new form, a new way of disposing of bodies, okay? It's called alkaline hydrolysis. So let's take a look at what that is. All right, you see this machine here? So they take this machine and it basically, they have like lysis in it, and it basically allows all of the tissue and most of the flesh, the hair and all of that to disintegrate in this machine. Okay, you're usually left over with the bones. There are a lot more pictures. They're just more graphic. I don't want to share. They're usually left with the bones, and then the bones are usually pulverized by hand, or they dispose of that a different way. Now, you guys, so here are the states as of 2019. So it's actually been going on since before 2021. It's 2019. These are the states that allow this, but let me tell you what else they allow. So all of these states in green allow for this alkaline hydrolysis to be legalized. And what happens to the remnants? The human goo is disposed into the sewage systems. The human goo is disposed into the sewer plants, which are not equipped to filter out the shit in there. Okay, so if you're from these states, the farms on your land there are being fertilized with human remains, 80 to 90,000 chemicals prior to that with the biosludge I just mentioned. And of course, human sewage alone too. Okay. So this is cannibalistic. And there was some backlash in a few of the states when they first legalized it, that the local churches, Catholic churches, were having, you know, they threw in the Catholic church there in a couple of the articles trying to make it seem like someone was trying to do something about it, but it's actually just a distraction. Okay. No one's really doing anything about it. And I didn't know this was happening. I don't know if you knew about it, but it sure is happening. And what's happening now, let's just take a look at the friendly EPA. I thought this was kind of funny. So these are the peaks, and I'm going to include some of the people who are pro this movement, because there are a lot of people that are approving the process of alkaline hydrolysis, but not questioning what happens to the remains. Of course, they know what happens to it, but they are allowing it. Now, according to one of these articles I came across, they really started pushing this right before, you know, what went down. And they were pushing this in anticipation of the people who had passed on because of this. For those that didn't have family, to be disposed of this way and get rid of the bodies this way, which means that those pathogens still could exist. There are countless active acute pathogens in there, and chemicals and biohazard materials, but it was just this push they made right before all of that went down, which is of course very sus. So I'm going to show you this article, which I thought was like just, hold on. So this is all, most of this is on BioSludge.news. Here it is. No. Oh, here's another one. So I mentioned that a lot of it's being dumped into city parks. You guys, this is happening in a city near you. You know, you see that water, you're like, ew, gross. Maybe there's like sewage in there. It's not just sewage. It's not just fecal matter and everyone flushing their stuff down the toilet. I mean, it's literally human goo and pharmaceutical drugs and biohazardous chemicals in there. 90,000 chemicals. And of course, the nanotech and the nanoplastics. Here it is. So this article here, this was back in May 17th, 21. You guys, they're spreading it on the food crops as fertilizer. Now, fertilizer, yes, people use species for that, like cow and all of that, cow dung and all of that. But this is taking it to a new level. This is taking it to where you're not only contaminating, this is a bioweapon, you're not only contaminating Gaia, but you're growing the food this way that is then sprayed with the pesticides and the chemicals and the nanotech that is then being processed with nanoplastics and food additives, which food additives are just nanoparticles. And nanoparticles are a technology. All right, so I want to talk about that now, because it all goes into a loop here. So the nanoparticles gained popularity. Let me go in here. The nanoparticles started gaining popularity in the food industry because it's competitive. The food industry is competitive. So they started to release these nanoparticles as a way for food to remain fresher, to improve the texture, the appearance, and the flavor of food. All right. And this industry is largely unregulated in the United States. Okay. So I wrote down some notes here. According to the co-director of Oxford Martin program on nanotechnology, they still only know 10% about it. So one of the former co-directors of nanotechnology, the program, okay, at a huge university, said, we only know about 10% about what this really is about. Okay, and right now, nano is a really, really big industry and field. So I want to talk about one in particular. There's one in particular named silicone dioxide, and this is added to foods that have a lot of spices on it. So think of a Dorito. So the silicone dioxide is added to spices to prevent it from clumping. Okay, so sure, if you're a food industry, you're going to say, sure, I don't want my food to clump if you know, a customer puts their Doritos in a 110 temperature car, you're going to open your Dorito and it's going to look fine. That's why. Okay, so it's not actually food, it is a product you are consuming. You're consuming a product. What's also happening is that they'll use these nanoparticles so that they can advertise that something has less sugar. So it's used as a filler. So instead of adding an extra 2 cups of sugar to something, they can add some of the nanoparticles so that the food remains sweet and gives it that flavor, and then advertise on the back of the label that it's low sugar. So anything that's preserved is going to, of course, have more chemicals in it. I mean, we've always known that. But you have to take into consideration that this is not just processed foods. They are starting to add this to the crops. They want to add it to banana peels, and nobody knows what these things really are. They say that they're small and tiny. However, what they're also finding is that in a week, a human being will contain as much as one plastic credit card worth of plastic in their body. So what I'm trying to tell you is that this technology is directly targeted to consume you from being an organic being to a plastic nanoparticle cannibalistic being that they can control. So we already know that the fluoride in water, it calcifies the pineal gland. And now we're hearing that the fertilizers are containing Benadryl and all of these drugs and substances and pathogens. All of these, of course, can easily cause disease. You know what I mean? Like, it just takes one person to spread it. And we're learning that not only are the food containing these nanoparticles, which I believe will be able, people are starting to say, the scientists are starting to say that basically this new generation, like all these new technologies, okay, we're guinea pigs. There is no sort of research, long-term research on it. So right now, Americans are being used as guinea pigs. They are rats in their labyrinth of really little room to navigate outside of these disgusting realities, okay? And this is a catastrophe to Gaia, because now there are farms that are shutting down because their levels are testing too high with what they're called forever chemicals. These forever chemicals cannot be removed from the soil. Imagine your body. So what's happening now is that this new generation of babies being born, and of course it's always the kids that are directly influenced because their body mass is so little. So while you might be able to flush some of this out, and I want to tell you that a lot of this, the nanoparticles, it gets wasted out through the feces. However, when you're consuming, you are creating your microbiome, your guts. Okay, they say this is like your other brain. This is how you are able to really receive the nutrients of what you're consuming. It's destroying that. So it's doing that to the earth. It's doing it to your body, to your gut flora. If you don't know about your gut flora, research it, because it really dictates your health. It's very intelligent. So while some may get excreted in your feces, the rest is absorbed in your intestinal tract and into your body. And they are finding mothers whose placentas already contain plastic. Now, babies that are being born, they are the true experiment, all right? Because they are finding plastic in samples of their tissue. They were just born, okay? This goes hand in hand with the chemtrails that they are spraying. They are finding nanoplastics in rainwater. Makes sense. There are islands of plastic disintegrating into the ocean that are then, here, let me show you this. Actually, I have a graph. So just take a look. It's raining plastic, microplastics found in US rainwater. 90% of the rainwater collected from Denver Boulder area contained microplastic. Researchers aren't exactly sure how the plastic ended up in the rainwater. Microplastics have invaded nearly every part of the environment, but scientists still aren't sure how these plastic bits might be affecting human health. Can someone just tell me? I mean, you don't have to be a scientist, but, oh, I'm not sharing that with you. Hold on, I'll share with you guys. So it just keeps going further and further and further. I wanted to start the conversation just on BioSludge. And then it went from BioSludge. Then I read that they're allowing the disintegrated bodies as a new form of, it's a new industry now. They're allowing that to go into the sewage water, which obviously there are sewage leaks all the time. If you live by the beach, you know, you always get those notifications not to go in the water, it's leaking into the water. It's now raining plastic. You know why? Because we know how rain works. It starts from the ground, it gets absorbed up to the sky, and it falls back down. Yeah, they had a really good graph I wanted to show you guys. It's not here. So what's happening is they're completely filling up the population, the animals, Gaia. Every part of Gaia has been destroyed in this sense. And, you know, they say the body is the temple. What are they doing to us? What have they done? So with this nanotechnology, you guys, if you see this picture here, these are very reminiscent of the ones that come off of the chemtrails. Because what I want you also, like, what can we start doing? You know, how can we start protecting ourselves more? It seems almost like they're making it almost nearly impossible for you to live in their system on the grid and avoid all of this, right? So, oh yes, nanotech in humans to hijack, something like that. But they're not using the money. Shoot. They're not using all the money and technology and scientists to do it just so your Dorito doesn't go stale, just so your Dorito doesn't clump up in case of it, you know. No, this is completely their plan is to fill you up with all of this. And they can hijack your vessel this way because you're full of plastics and technology. All right. So they're also introducing a new generation of nanotechnology, which is going to be in the food packaging. They're going to say that it's biodegradable. It's a new form of packaging. Anything shiny that you get, like when you open the Doritos bag and it's shiny, all the plastics we already know break down when it changes temperature, the BPH, all of that, right? But now they're introducing a new generation of it. And this is how they are going to not only destroy Gaia and turn it into complete AI realm, a complete taken over by nanotechnology. And then you got the micro technology like the supercomputers and our, you know, then we got this, our phones and our laptops. So they are literally turning us into non-organic humans this way. So I believe that once all of this has seeped into our bodies and accumulated enough, they have the potentiality to then control humans this way, literally. So if you're filled up with tiny nanoparticles, technology, hello, you know, you can turn your phone on and off with a switch that way. And everyone is, there's already mass psychosis. There's already deep, you know, sense of illusion going on. Well, we see why. They are dumbing humans down, turning them into plastic, ridding them of their sovereignty. I mean, we just talk so much about the fluoride water and how about it calcifies the pineal gland and all of this. And we're trying to find ways to really stop that from happening. You know, we're sun gazing, we're drinking distilled water, we're drinking our zeolite. These are all things you can do to break past that. We're protecting our auras, our energy fields. We're really doing this because we are literally living in a hell realm that gives full consent to dispose of human goo in the sewage so that it can be turned into soil. That it's actually just pieces of shit full of nanotech and fentanyl. So I'm going to have a list of certain products that I come across because I'm having a difficult time trying to find anything that seems safe enough for me to recommend off the bat to you guys. There are going to be alternatives. This is not an end all be do all, but we need to start spreading the message. Let me know what you're using instead of these other products. Let's work together to really start shedding light to these topics that I said are often left in the dark. And this is how we begin to uncover it, because all of their industries are falling and they're collapsing. And so I kind of think that the reason they're just really allowing this to continue is because perhaps this shit really is going to go down pretty soon. And they're like, you know what, let's just go ahead and do it anyways. It's all going to collapse anyways. Let's just really get them in. And I also think that it's feeding their beast system. I also think that having humans eat this stuff and the way they're doing it already with the nasty preserved unhealthy foods on top of it, the way it's packaged and what they're spraying in the air and everything, it's because we are literally living in a hell reality. Nobody knows it. And the reason they don't know it is because they're consuming this stuff. The very air you breathe, the very water you drink is contaminated most of the time. And so we have to take protective measures, and it's not about a fear state. All right. Where most of us are healthy enough to, like I said, put it out when we go to the bathroom, recuperate with daily detox measures. However, I want to know what soil to buy. I want to know what water not to drink. I want to know, we got to start cooking at home more. I'm going to start taking those actions. And so take this information and use this to fuel you and to allow you not to live in their reality. All right. So I'm going to end the video here. I will be getting more into the nanoparticles and the studies and all of that, and how I believe that this is the perfect way to hijack humans and on a more, like digital level, rather than just how they've been doing it, like through the interdimensional ways. This is more of like a physical way they're doing it. So it's really just the fall of humanity. And we really are living like in a crazy matrix reality that it makes it so easy for it to continue when people are eating this stuff and their bodies are being infected with this technology. All right. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, share with somebody.
What is up, guys? Okay, one last message. I am editing the video and I completely forgot to mention a huge announcement. I was kind of wrapped up in the subject matter, but I still want to come on here and share with you guys. I've just made a big announcement. So everyone that's enrolled to the School of Mysticism, you are now going to have free yoga classes taught by yours truly every Sunday at 10:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. We do offer different types of packages to enroll to our private online community hosted by the New Sudan, the Matrix Unveiled, and School of Mysticism founder. And you have access to all of these courses when you sign up to a monthly membership. Who are just wanting to check out the community and not have access to any of these courses. You can join a $9.99 community membership where you can post on our platform, and it's kind of like a high conscious Facebook type of vibe, as you can see. And so I will be teaching live yoga classes. Why? Because we need to continue to, nourish our temple, as I was talking about. And yoga is an ancient art that I have been privileged since 2016 to be a teacher. I trained in India and I've taught all over the world. And I now want to offer this to you guys as something to give back. I'm not just about letting you know what the issues are. It's all about creating solutions and starting a rising together on Sunday as a community, moving our bodies and stating our intentions for the week ahead is going to help to keep us motivated, aligned, and in a higher frequency. So I wanted to throw that in. Links are below. Hope you join our monthly membership, or you can purchase my course, Deprogram Your Shadow, or any of the options. I'm going to have the link, scroll to the bottom and swipe around and see what you feel called to. All right. Thank you so much again.